Hey babes! Today I want to open the following discussion with you. Do you believe we women are meant to be in pain during childbirth and menstrual periods and struggle with nasty PMS and menopause symptoms? Is it really normal to have these pains and struggles? It seems there is a cultural and even religious acceptance in different parts of the world in regards pain of women during certain stages of life.
The Lord God said to the woman, I will greatly increase your pain when you give birth. You will be in pain when you have children. You will long for your husband, and he will rule over you.
And this was written after Adam and Eve have both sinned against God by eating the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Another example is clearly what movies show us when there is a scene of a woman pushing and screaming during childbirth. It doesn't make any easy that. Another example is just simply what our mothers and grandmas have told us. Oh dear, when you have a baby, you will know what pain is. Or the million tales from your friends. The reality is everybody is different, and not all women experience pain. Some women manage the pain very well, requiring minimal assistance and reporting actually positive experiences, while others do not cope well and require some type of intervention to alleviate the pain. I was very jealous from a friend of mine who was pregnant and just had a tiny cramp, like, oh, I have a tiny cramp. And he went to the doctor and he said, oh my God, you are 8 centimeters dilated. You need to go to the hospital. But I want to go and pick up my stuff. And I say, no, you are ready. And 30 minutes later, she had the baby. Oh my God, that's really great. But so yeah, there are some women who are lucky and have fantastic childbirths. It is not really fully clear why some women experience pain and others they don't. But data from a study suggests that when women interpret the pain as productive and purposeful, it is associated with positive cognitives and emotions. And they are more likely to feel that they can cope with the pain. Alternatively, when women interpret the pain as threatening to either their physical or emotional well-being, it is associated with negative cognitions and emotions, when in this case they are required for more external methods of pain control. And that's understandable. If you do not feel safe or in a supportive environment, you will feel more stress and your body may be pretty tight. And definitely being relaxed is key to have a less painful childbirth. And this is part of the breathing techniques to relax from certain methods, the famous Lamas. I personally did not take any Lamas class, but I took something similar, 12 classes from the Bradley method, which is similar, focusing on natural childbirth and the process without any type of pain medication if it's possible. And it's a very loving, supporting coach style. They really believe in relaxation and natural breathing techniques, so you can tune in your body and trusting the natural process. And in my personal experience, I was 22 hours in labor with my first child, and unfortunately, it was pretty tolerable. Just the last contractions were the tough ones. But unfortunately, I ended up with, due to fetal distress, I ended up with a C-section. So I cannot really provide a whole detail about the experience. But anyway, there are other methods that can help to make it more tolerable or coping with the pain not only the Lamaze or the Bradley method, there are other like self-hypnosis, which is all they call it hypnobirthing, where they use self-hypnosis as a tool towards natural childbirth. And personally, I have to believe that also spine and pelvis misalignments may cause more painful childbirth, along with the position of the baby. According to studies, 50% of all pregnant women experience back pain during their pregnancy, and 50 to 75% experience back pain during labor. So many women get benefited by seeking specialized chiropractors during pregnancy. So that's just about childbirth. So let's talk about the next topic, which is PMS. So I personally can tell you that I had seriously excruciating menstrual cramps that bent me and left me on bed. I used a heated pad at the highest level, and I was practically cooking myself. My belly and my legs were all red and hot. I was very swollen and bloated that I had a hard time pooping. My boobs were hurting like if somebody hit me with a bat many times. It was until I discovered Advil, and then when I was in my period, I used to take like 8 pills a day. And if you are not aware of, Advil contains ibuprofen, which is pretty well known to damage the gut lining and increase the risks of stomach ulcers when it's used excessively. Now I wonder why I had gastritis when I was 15, and also I used to pass my pills with Coca-Cola in the morning. And in the meantime, while I was suffering, my grandma used to tell me, "Ay, mijita, that's normal. They will go away when you have your first baby." And guess what? When I have my first baby, no, they didn't go away. But glad that is not the story of every woman, and neither mine later. Interestingly, while trying to address other problems I had about mental health by changing my diet, reducing refined sugars, increased B complex, omega-3, and vitamin D, I realized that not only I addressed those issues, but also my PMS symptoms that were also accompanied by exacerbated anxiety and depression. And until now, I can tell you I have regular periods and almost pain-free periods, to the point that I need to have a calendar reminders to avoid accidents. But I didn't know fully the reason those days for why this happened, why were these improvements, until I studied functional medicine and learned that multiple hormones are interconnected. It is pretty well agreed these days that most of those nasty symptoms of menstrual cramps, breast tenderness, bloating, mood swings, anxiety, depression, heavy periods are due to a hormone imbalance between the levels of estrogen and progesterone. These two sexual hormones, I call them the balancing sisters. They go most of the time together, and they can fluctuate and dance during the menstrual cycle. One goes up, the other goes down, and so on. They have different functions in the body. For example, progesterone tends to be more like a calming hormone in the body, and in case of conception helps the embryo to get attached to the uterus, while estrogen thickens the uterine lining in case there's conception, for preparing for conception, and has more excitatory effects in the body. Both hormones are needed, but they have important function in also together in regards to bone health. However, when estrogen's levels are much higher than progesterone levels is when we're starting to present more of the excitatory, inflammatory symptoms of breast tenderness, depression, headaches, anxiety, heavy bleeding, bloating, constipation, and all those nasty symptoms that we categorize in something called premenstrual syndrome or PMS. And there are many ways these hormones are out of balance. It could be because estrogen is too high in comparison to progesterone levels. It could be because it's too low progesterone in comparison to estrogen. Or it could be both, that estrogen is too high and progesterone is too low. And the larger is this difference, the more symptoms and more intensity of these symptoms will be, the frequency. These symptoms can remain even during menopause, when levels of progesterone can drop even faster than estrogen. Considering these symptoms as part of women's bearing and not doing anything about them may cause problems just beyond being miserable. It can actually increase the risk of breast and ovarian cancer. This is nothing new because the body produces their own, chemical substances. That means that there is like an unlimited level or that the body can tolerate. These substances in excess, like estrogen, are actually kind of corrosive and can cause DNA damage to cells that are more receptive to estrogen, like the breast tissue and the ovarian tissue. So it requires the body certain process of detoxification. We need to pee and poop these substances once they are metabolized in an easier, simpler way to get rid of. And that's why if we don't have a good system, all these substances, they will accumulate in the body. We don't have a good detoxification process. But that's not all. You can also be increasing your levels of estrogen from external sources outside the body by consuming certain foods like, for example, soy products and other that contain plant-based estrogens. There are other chemical substances that have more potent and riskier estrogens, or substances that look like estrogen, like glyphosate in certain crops, BPA in many plastic containers, parabens in personal products. There are other factors, including excessive body fat, that by itself, the adipose tissue is an endocrine one and produces estrogen. No ovaries needed. This is for both men and women. So the more percentage of fat you have in your body, the more estrogen you will have. Also, other hormones interact. The ones related to stress, blood sugar, everything that has to do with blood sugar control, like insulin, levels of sleep, and the thyroid function, to mention some. Well, I hope this information is helping you to realize that several PMS and menopause symptoms are optional. We as women do not need to accept that this is just the way it is, and women need to suffer somehow in our lives, especially for something regretful that somebody did a million years ago. So here are 5 very fast tips today to soothe these symptoms. The first one is just as simple as relax. Really, relax. Cortisol, which is a stress hormone, when it gets too high, your body will diminish its ability to produce progesterone and testosterone. Your body does not care about reproduction or sex if it believes you are getting chased by a tiger. Also wondering why you have worse PMS symptoms before the final exam or presentation with the big boss. The number 2, reset your circadian rhythm. That means nobody can heal well if you do not sleep and rest enough. This is going with the different cycle, with the different stages of the body. Having more sunlight in the morning, more excitatory hormones, while in the day we want to wind down, being more relaxed, more melatonin, so we can sleep well. And I will provide, just for this topic, a complete webinar later. The third one is limit your sweet tooth. I know it may sound sad, but high consumption of refined sugars and flours increase insulin and then cortisol. More stress than we know already, as we know already, stress can deplete progesterone, but also high levels of insulin increase testosterone and cause another hormone imbalance called polycystic ovarian syndrome, called PCOS, characterized for multiple cysts in ovaries, hair loss, facial hair, and decreased ovulation. But if you have sweet tooth like me, don't worry. There are many other ways, incredible ways to enjoy delicious sweet foods. From simple mashed sweet potatoes with cinnamon, flourless desserts, ice creams and chocolates sweetened with monk fruit and stevia. There are many things outside and many things that you can do by yourself. And they are easy. The fourth one is turn off the faucet of the xenoestrogens, those estrogens that come from the exterior. Try to eat organic, at least the famous dirty dozen, and check your personal and cleaning products to be free of hormone disruptors. Finally, you don't have to read labels and investigate if you use the Pure Haven products, which are labeled as 100% free of toxins. Very easy, don't worry. And the fifth one, boost your estrogen detoxification. This is a complete topic, but at least you want to really address your constipation. We want to poop, have good bile, and also eat more cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts that helps part of the detoxification process. But this is not all. There are many other considerations which require deeper analysis. So that is why we have announced our online program called Feel Sexy Again, dedicated to all these committed women who want to address their PMS, menopause, stress, thyroid dysfunction, and other hormone imbalances, so they have abundant energy, balanced moods, and a radiant body and skin, and the best thing, regain totally their sexiness without harmful medications and chemicals. If you want to join the VIP list and be the first one to know when the program opens, please visit www.feelsexyagain.net. Bye!